in this episode, we talk a lot about what can happen when you don't do your research for your subject matter.
Right.
In a film.
Yeah, a lot can happen.
There's only so far you can suspend, disbelief. But we also talk about not leaning too far into the campy, stupid movie.
It's definitely something that's it's a skill,
right?
And it takes a lot of finesse. We didn't get that here.
Yeah.
and before we jump in, I guess it's fair to say we really wanted to like this.
We did.
We were really excited, and
we went in with high hopes, and it really doesn't take that much to entertain us.
No,
we're pretty easygoing.
Yeah, but we came out lacking in those things.
Wanting.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shall we get in it?
Let's do it.
Here we go. Hey, B-Siders. Welcome to our latest episode. I'm Jim.
I'm Danny.
And we are going to talk to you about a movie.
It is a movie.
It meets all of the technical requirements for a movie.
Ooh.
However, we'll have some things to say about this. Before we get into anything else, let's just start out with the good.
Okay.
They made a movie.
Yeah.
All right. So there's, check in that box.
Yep.
They did what they set out to do.
True.
So we give full props for that.
Yes.
Tip of the hat. Now with that said,
yeah.
We'll have some other things to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, why don't you bring us in?
All right. Let me tell you about this movie. It is called VelociPastor.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Yeah.
It was made in 2019, directed by Brendan Steer, also written by Brendan Steer, starring Alyssa Kapinski, Greg Cohen, and Claire Sue. Claire Sue. It was not rated. It would probably be rated R.
It would definitely be rated R.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff.
Sure. The budget was estimated at about $35,000.
I just, when I found that number, because it took some digging, your response.
Well, I remember you saying 3,500 and I see 35,000 and I'm like, okay.
Oh, yeah, no, it said estimated 35,000. Yeah. Well, I can only imagine what your response would have been then. Because at 3,500, you're like, I don't think so.
What were they feeding the crew on filet mignon for craft services?
Maybe. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Yeah, hold it in.
Sure.
The log line for this is, after losing his parents, a priest travels to China, where he inherits a mysterious ability that allows him to turn into a dinosaur. At first horrified by this new power, a hooker convinces him to use it to fight crime and ninjas. Ninjas. Yeah.
Yeah.
You heard that right.
Yep. Well, that was one of the key things. Because before we jump into this film, we watched the trailer.
Yes.
Right. First of all, the name.
Yeah, VelociPastor. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, because I was looking at recent releases, for 2019. And, VelociPastor. So I put it all, all the stuff on a list and I was going through them. It caught your eye.
Well, I remember I saw it originally on a group that I'm in. It was posted as a movie to watch.
Oh.
And I brought it up to you, and we saw it, and we put it up there, and we were like, oh, maybe at some point.
We watched the trailer.
Yeah.
And, You know, it's an asylum film, not this one, but the one I'm going to mention, the Sherlock Holmes one.
Oh yeah, the one with the dinosaur
with
and
the T-Rex.
Yeah, the T-Rex and the Kraken.
And well, on the cover is Sherlock Holmes, and
Yes.
then there's a picture of a T-Rex in the background. See, and that sold us.
Yeah,
because dinosaurs sell.
Of course.
On us anyway.
I love dinosaurs.
So yeah, we were excited about this.
Mm-hmm.
Turns into a velociraptor.
Love it.
And he's a pastor. All right.
The name's a pun.
Yeah. Okay.
Bring us in. Tell us about. Let's walk through the movie.
Oh, let's do it. Okay, so we open with a super that says "Rated X" by an all-Christian jury. My first response to that was, okay, interesting. Sure. And then we have a priest standing at a pulpit, and it sounds like he's closing out the service. And then next thing we know, he's outside, and there's some jumpy music. He sees his mom and dad. He waves, and he starts to go to them. But he falls on the stairs because there's an explosion sound.
Yes.
And then we cut to in like 4 empty parking spaces.
Yep.
And then there's a super on the screen that says VFX car on fire. And then we cut back to the priest, and then the super again, and then we go back and forth 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So right away, I'm like,
Right. This clearly wasn't we just didn't have the budget for it. This was we're leaning really hard into how dumb this is.
Yeah. I mean, we can say that now. But at first I was like, seriously, what the fuck? And it made me think of a movie called Student Bodies. It's a horror film. It's really old, early mid 80s.
The name sounds familiar.
It's ridiculous, is what it is.
Okay.
It's funny and stupid. They meant it to be funny and stupid, and they succeeded. They were just ripping shit on all of the tropes of Hollywood at the time for horror films.
Okay.
Like a girl gets killed with a bunch of paper clips. There's a scene where the killer is going through this on a desk, a roll top desk. He rolls the top back, and there's nothing but weapons there. There's a fucking axe, knives, hatchets, and everything.
Sure.
And that's when he picks up a paper clip.
Okay.
Anyway, so I kind of thought that for a second, like, well, maybe that's the kind of ride we're in for.
Right. Like, yeah. I guess the slightly more like modernish version of that, if people haven't seen that, would be like Scary Movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only this was, Student Bodies was just Scary Movie is a fucking masterpiece of Hitchcockian horror compared to Student Bodies.
Okay.
But I mean, it was fun. And you knew that going, if they let you know right away.
Yeah.
This isn't just accidentally stupid.
Okay.
We're in it. So yeah.
So
what do we got next?
My thought upon seeing that was, why? What? And that's what the character's saying in the next scene. So I was...
You were connecting with him.
Oh God, why? Well, he's drinking communion wine with his mentor, an older priest.
Yeah.
Who's pretty, like, right away you're like, okay, this is the mentor. Yeah.
I'm going to have a lot to say about this stuff at the end. So
I know.
If I start, feel free to just cut me off.
I will.
Because, yeah.
And I'm already wondering why we decided to make this movie, because I'm like, I mean, I know we saw the trailer and it looked okay, but it just, oh God, already I'm like, no, I'm not on board with this. So they're having a conversation, and his mentor tells him to go where he thinks God will not follow.
Yeah. It touches a little bit back on know what you're writing about.
Yeah.
Even a little bit.
I know.
So my next note on this, as I'm watching this, I couldn't help but just, and I have it exactly as this, just a note, he's wearing some kind of pajama or costume shirt. They couldn't even have been bothered. There's no secret superstore, people. All right. If you have clergy in your film, in every major city, there is a store that you can walk in. You don't need special credentials. You don't need permission from the Pope. You don't need the head of the church's seal. You can go in and buy, and you don't have to go to a store. You can get them online.
Yeah.
All of, my first shirts, there was actually a local store, but I went and got them. But then I found out, I can get them online. And I got my alb and my shirts and that giant stack of collars.
Yes.
And so, yeah, they didn't even bother to go to a dollar store and see if they could pick out something. Their polyester stretch material, that cheap Halloween costume stuff.
Right.
It's supposed to look like some kind of a frock, but it isn't. And it's not even a collar. It's just a little white stretchy band.
Yeah.
Immediately I was like, fuck, here we go.
Yeah. And for our listeners who are not aware of why you know so much about this, why don't you let us know?
I think I've mentioned it before.
Well, yeah.
I am a retired priest, and I did the whole many years of different levels of seminary study and various faiths. I kind of landed in the Western Orthodox Church of North America.
Mm-hmm.
But not that everyone needs to know this, but I was Irish Catholic. Then I became a Lutheran. And then I did this whole journey of figuring out really what's out there and what am I, and ended up on that road. So yeah. And here's the thing, it's not considered none of this stuff is special. It's just a shirt. It's a shirt that's cut a certain way to either put a full collar or a collar insert in. You can get short sleeve. I was looking one time online, not to get off this too much. There are Italian made priest shirts. I was really into, they looked really nice and they looked like they'd be super comfortable, because those shirts I have really aren't, even though it says comfort on the inside. But they were like $240 a shirt.
That's expensive.
It is. And that wasn't including what it would cost to ship them over.
Right.
So, but you can get these things for like $20, and it's okay to put it on. I mean, seriously. Anyway, back to this prehistoric pastoral nightmare. Right after I'm making this note on what my disdain is for their costume choices, I look up and there's this really weird fucking cut of them talking. So we have the typical, one's on the left side of the screen, one's on the right side of the screen, right?
Yeah.
So we have a two shot, but it's not filling the whole screen, because then on the far left side, we have the single shot of the guy on the left, and then the same thing on the right. So we have one face, two faces in the middle, and then the other face capping it off. And
for no reason.
No. And I thought, well, this is not cool. This isn't even like comic book type thing, because it just doesn't make sense. Anyway. So while I'm trying to swallow on this, then the guy's in a car, and it's this, and I've noticed this, right? Because we were just watching a movie. We
were watching
John Wick.
John Wick, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
car.
Yeah. Well, the first one was a Mustang, but he ended up in a Chevy Chevelle SS, which is, it's a muscle car back in the day. Yes. Right. But that seems to be the go-to. So I'm like, oh, well, he's in a Chevy Chevelle. So clearly he's now a badass for some reason. Yeah. Right. So, and then there's lots of cutscenes of him driving. And of course we have heavy metal music playing, the whole badass thing. And then the thing I noticed was the lighting of the car. and the priest do not even come close to matching the blue screen external.
No, that was in my notes too.
And when I think about it, because it lasted a while.
Yes.
It was one of those, okay, we get that he's driving. And we don't, see, somebody knew the guy who did the song. I'm sure of it.
Oh.
Because they about played that whole fucking thing.
True.
For his driving thing. It's just like, this is uncomfortably going nowhere. But if you remember, there were like some of it, he was like greenish and like reddish. And we're back to that Batman thing. We started getting some weird tilts on him. And I thought, oh, somebody got into the mushrooms. It's like, hey, man, let's put some light on him.
Maybe.
I don't know. But yeah, that was not good.
Yeah. So that's obviously him traveling.
Right.
Right. And then he's suddenly in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And the super says China.
Right.
But the vegetation says Midwest.
China's like New Zealand. It has many climates.
Well,
not really.
Also, you can't drive to China.
Well,
from the United States.
I can't go. Yes, I can. I have to. If he's if the car was blessed, maybe he drove on the water.
Ooh.
Walking on water.
I got it.
Yeah. I don't think that is at all considered in the story, to be honest.
Yeah. And well, it was funnier than most of the jokes in this movie.
Well, yeah. I'm sorry. Go on.
There's a woman in the woods, and she's in a cartoonishly Chinese costume.
It's
wildly racist.
It really is. They wear traditional clothing like that in the very rural communities still. It's fair to say that. However, they managed to make it look as racist as you could possibly make it.
Yes.
Yeah. If you have authentic and then whatever the complete polar opposite of that is, that's where they put it.
Yep. And she gets shot with an arrow and rolls through woodland.
Yep.
On flat ground.
Yeah.
Like what I'm guessing is probably 70 feet.
Yeah.
To the pastor, to the priest who's walking through the woods.
It could have been the extreme power of that. Never mind. You're not buying it.
I'm not at all.
I'm not trying to defend it either.
She hands him a massive tooth and says to destroy it, but he doesn't understand what she says.
Right. And I didn't get that it was a tooth right away. I missed that little bit because I was because while we're going over this part, if you remember, there's a lot of I just couldn't help but fade away from the movie, and I just went on random diatribes.
Yes.
This is one of them. So I missed the word tooth. I looked up and I see this thing.
Okay. Well, I saw it was a tooth. Like they didn't say it was, but it looked like a tooth.
Oh, yeah. I didn't get it.
Anyway,
I didn't get
it's huge.
It is.
Huge. Not the size of a tooth or a claw from a velociraptor.
No.
But it's fine. Yeah. It's fine. We'll skate right past that. So he sees the guy who shot her, who's also dressed really racist. And you said the guy shot his hand, but I thought he just cut it on a bush or something. It doesn't matter.
Well, I didn't know. There was just the thing, and it was so poorly done. I wasn't sure what was going on. When I saw you noted that he got it cut on the bush, I thought, well, it's fair because I'm not going to stake my reputation on my assessment of what happened based on what I saw because it was so fucking poorly done.
Yeah. Anyway, cuts his hand, then suddenly wakes up back in the United States with his mentor.
Yes.
In the church that they apparently also live in.
Right.
No.
No. Well, no. I mean, there are.
Well,
there are some where there's always a resident priest, and some churches it's all the priests, all the clergy will stay
Okay.
there. They'll have like 3 rotating. They'll have a senior, and then the junior priests.
Yeah.
Very rare these days.
I was going to say, from my understanding, it's not very typical.
No, usually the church provides a house free of rent. That's part of the package.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so wakes up with this mentor, and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. What? The mentor literally just said these words. This is a direct quote from the movie, by the way. What did that Chinese say? Dragon warrior or something like that? That was a record scratch, by the way.
Just so everyone knows, we have introduced soundboards.
Yeah. For fun.
Well, for practical purposes, but for fun too.
Also for fun. I'm trying to use mine sparingly so that Jim doesn't ban my soundboard.
Well, it's funny when that line came out. I was writing and I peeked up. I saw your facial reaction to it. It just kind of twisted, like disbelief, like, Jesus Christ, really? And my thought was, if we're thinking the same thing after that whole racist costume bit and everything, now we have this?
Right? And then the main character just keeps saying hungry and please.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah. Starts out hungry. And at this point, see, I'm going to break away for a second. Okay. we're just minutes into this.
I know.
And I have already walked away from the fucking movie in my mind a dozen times because he was saying hungry. And so right away, hungry hippo. I'm reliving commercials from my childhood. I'm just, so as I pull out of that, right? He's hungry, clearly, and he's stumbling around outside, running into people. He runs into an obvious hooker. Again, everything you would imagine someone would tropishly dress up a hooker as. She was it.
Yep.
And she was working a lollipop.
Yes.
Because that's what every hooker does.
Yep.
She gives a homeless man some money. So she's a hooker with a heart of gold. And I should have had a sound for that, but I don't.
What sound would you like?
I don't know. What do we got?
How about...
I want the wah wah.
This one?
Yes.
That's appropriate.
I think it is. So she gives the homeless man some money, and then she goes to get her pimp, and he's as cliche as it gets too. Smarmy, greasy looking hair, porn stash, big eyeglasses, the pimp fedora. Mm-hmm. He's just awful. He's got a fur and leather coat, and he's all of a sudden he's just like slapping her and talking down to her, and then he's like yelling at other hookers across the street. And I didn't note any of the shit he was saying because it just simply it struck me as this was supposed to be funny.
Okay.
His stupid comments and his actions, and I just couldn't think anything other than it is not.
I remember one of the things that he said, so we can give an example.
Oh, please do.
He said, "Do you know why they call me Frankie Mermaid?"
God.
The answer, Jim, was because he's swimming in bitches.
Okay. I remember at some point in the movie, he yells at a hooker saying if she sucked dick like she ate sandwiches, he'd be a millionaire or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, it was another poor attempt. So anyway, now it's suddenly night, and our nameless priest, because here we are again, we have a film where nobody has been fucking introduced in dialogue or otherwise.
Right.
So he's running through the woods, he's grunting, and then he screams like he's in pain, and all of a sudden, wham, the eye lenses are in. Pow, he's got dinosaur eyes.
Yeah.
Raptor eyes.
The contacts.
Yeah. And then we hear some squishing sounds. And then suddenly the hooker is now walking through the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And then a mugger comes up to her and going to mug her. And he's 1 minute he's talking about, give me your money. Next minute he's talking about fucking her. And then he's got a gun. And then I don't know what's up. Then he's gone.
Yeah.
And he's gone. He's on the ground and he's shooting at a velociraptor.
Yep.
The hooker is staring with wide eyes. She's knocked on the ground as the mugger is torn apart. And as she's laying on the ground, this fucking killed me. A mannequin head rolls past her. Not even a made up one.
No.
Just a
straight up mannequin head.
Brought a fucking head from work.
Yeah.
Okay, roll it out.
Yep.
No hat, no blood, just the fucking mannequin head.
I just want to jump in.
Okay.
Okay. I can forgive super low budget effects.
Right.
Right? And I could even have fun with them. I can be totally on board with them. Like the Zombies v CWA.
Oh, yeah.
Right? When she's swinging the Burko, the coffee maker around, knocks all the heads off. They're all mannequin heads, but they're done up. Right?
Well,
Yeah. I was like, that's hilarious. They weren't even trying.
Well, it's two things, right? If you don't have a budget for stuff, you can't do it. I mean, that's just the end of it. We talked with Hilton, about getting the effects guy for the full-on zombie makeup, and it had a lot of wheeling and dealing.
Yes.
Because that shit can get expensive,
Can.
And nobody is going to expect to get someone from Hollywood to do this stuff for these, super low budget films. But in Zombie versus the CWA, you saw the head fly off. The head was made up.
Yes.
Right? And the stump that was left was done up in like the jagged flesh, but then it just started spewing blood.
Yeah.
Right? They made an effort. It would have taken no time at all to walk to the fucking corner, get a thing of nail polish, right? And just brush a little bit on the edges. Even if it's poorly brushed.
Right.
It's like, well, I know you bought the whole bottle, bitch. Why don't you use it all? No, he used 5 or 6 strokes. I would have been okay. At least an effort was made. There was no effort made.
No, none.
None. And you can't be that tight on a budget where you can't get some nail polish. Okay. So the doll head happened, and then
the priest wakes up, and he's in an unfamiliar bedroom, and the hooker enters. And she sits on the edge of the bed and seductively blows on a cup of coffee.
Yeah. And at first, when she walked in, I thought she was going to maybe offer it to him.
Right.
No, she's just sitting there. It's her call. She's like, fuck you, man.
Yeah, no, it's my coffee. But, and he says, hello, my child.
Yeah, keep going.
And she's introduced as Carol, and we finally get his name, which is Doug.
Yes, finally.
Yeah. And she says that last night was amazing, and he thinks that they slept together, and they have this really dumb conversation where she's talking about him being a were-raptor or whatever.
Yeah.
And he thinks that they had sex, and they finally sort it out, and he's apparently shocked that rather than, Yeah.
It was again another uncomfortably long, poorly done sequence of double entendres.
Yes.
And I mean, not sitcom obvious, super obvious.
Are we done talking about this movie yet?
No.
Aw.
So, and then this thing happened, right? After this discovery that, he didn't fuck her, that he fucking, mutilated somebody as a dinosaur. They cut to her. This is conversation. When they cut to her, she's in frame, right? And, it's like, okay. You don't think anything of it because it's like a normal camera shot. And then they fucking roll in on him And they start wide and they keep pulling into his face. And then they cut to her. And they cut back to him and they're wide again and they pull back in. And that happened over and over. And all I could think was this fucking 5 times. This is terrible. Worst goddamn. I can't even imagine anyone in film school. The worst, cheapest, like some, I don't even know. Some deserted island somewhere. Some guy has been ostracized by every country on the planet, managed to end up here, started a film school. He's that bad. I don't think he would push this kind of thing. It was terrible.
Ed Wood does better.
Ed Wood did a lot better. And I'm just going to put a spoiler. This is not the last of the shit camera work.
Oh, no.
It gets
now we know. Jim.
There's even worse stuff.
Oh. Spoiled it for us.
Yeah. So now after this visually tormenting bit, he wants to see the body, but he needs some clothes.
Yep. Yeah. So he says the last thing he remembers is hunger. He tells her dinosaurs never existed and then he for sure doesn't turn into one. And she says, well, we can go see the body. And he borrows one of her dresses to go investigate. And it's an orange, like a Velma from Scooby-Doo.
Yes, it is.
Dress.
So now they're in the woods, and he's wearing that dress. They find the body. She reveals that she's a hooker, and he's more upset over her being a hooker than the mutilated body.
Yep.
Now, we don't get to see any of the remains, though. So I'm not sure.
There's like a little bit of an arm or something.
There's something, but nothing that leads me to understand the scope of, how badly he eviscerated this thing. So yeah, they start arguing and it comes out that she's turning tricks to pay for college. And here we are again, a hooker with a heart of gold. And then and then he bolts off in his dress.
Yes.
To take confessions.
Yeah.
And you know what it reminded me of? Rain Man.
I love that movie.
9 o'clock, time for Wapner. 3 o'clock, time for confessions. Dude, nope, time for confessions. Gotta go.
Yes. All right.
Oh, man.
So then he's in the confessional booth and he's back in his priest nightie.
They'll buy that.
And the pimp is on the other side.
Yeah.
Frankie Mermaid.
Yep.
Who's smoking a joint in the booth. And Doug initially is like, you can't smoke in here. And then literally does nothing about it.
Right.
For the rest of the scene. And Frankie confesses to literally taking candy from babies, pimping out girls, killing people. He also confesses to killing Doug's parents.
Well, this couple, this and that, what happened.
Yeah, right outside this church. I blew up their car.
Yeah, you were there.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Doug sticks his suddenly dinosaur arm, just the arm.
Right.
The rest of him's normal.
Not even the funky eyes.
No. Sticks the arm through the screen and claws open Frankie's throat. And Frankie screams for like literally a full minute.
Yes.
It goes on for so long.
I think in my notes I mentioned this is so unnecessarily long and terrible.
Yes.
Please make it stop.
Yeah.
Oh, son of a bitch. So now Doug's at Carol's house and knocking and lets him in, and he's all in for taking down the shit people of the town.
Right.
But they need to make some rules, right? So they chat and they come up with the best line of the movie.
Yes.
Which is this.
No, I don't know much about God.
I don't know much about dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
So that sets it up.
Yeah. And I laughed out loud at that.
Yeah.
It's like, this is ridiculous. And he tells her about killing the guy that killed his parents. And she learns that it was her pimp, and she's really happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
And they agree to only hurt bad people.
Yeah.
And then they high-five each other.
I know. I'm like, oh my God.
And then there's the dumbest montage I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh my God, yes.
It's random and unnecessary. They're bonding, and he's working out, and he's killing people, and it just goes on forever. And I think you wrote in your notes that there was like some Brady Bunch cuts.
Well, yeah. So we had that stupid framing thing, right?
Yeah.
The center shot and then left and right on the far edges. It reminded me, if anyone who's ever seen the Brady Bunch, you know, you've got...
Well, the intro, you've got
all of them, right?
In their boxes.
So, and some people call them comic book shots. They did it in the first Hulk with Ang Lee.
Yes.
Because he's a comic book dude.
Well,
so
yeah.
but you know, that marginalized the movie by doing that because it looked really bad. And that's what, it was square window here, rectangle here, oblong here, just these weird things. And it wasn't like they found a template, right, with the different sizes and put scenes in them. It kept changing everything. So that shit's changing. The scenes are changing. And I was like, fucking stop.
Yeah. And it goes on forever.
It does.
And it ends with him awkwardly putting his arm around her on a park bench.
Right. You know, to getting close.
Okay.
So, after another visually torturous event, we get placated. We get ninjas. Ninjas. And here we go. Buckle in, folks. So, one is Asian. Another is a curly-haired ginger. One speaking Chinese, the other English. And as whatever the fuck is going on is happening, in the foreground, on the right side of the screen, is apparently another ninja doing leg lifts, I don't know what the fuck he was doing. But I can also say, knowing a lot about many different kinds of martial arts, there's none where what he was doing happens. Maybe
he was doing Pilates.
That wasn't even Pilates. Right? It was just not, I don't know what he was doing. He's like trying to flick shit off of his shoe, or his leg fell asleep or something. I don't know. So that action's going on in the foreground, right? And then we get a plot reveal. They're after the Dragon Warrior. So I'm not sure what's transpiring at that moment, but I think it's supposed to be more humor. Some sort of conversation that I
didn't catch any of it either.
You know. But anyway, whatever was going on, it had overstayed its welcome like all the other previous little bits.
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah.
Yep.
That was our ninjas.
Yep.
Fuck.
You get excited about ninjas, and then you see that.
You know what? Ninjago is more ninja-like
than
what we witnessed.
Yeah. Oh, boy. So then the mentor catches Doug chatting with Carol, and he's, like, pissy about it.
Yeah.
He confronts Doug about it later while Doug is scrambling to hide the fact that he's reading about dinosaurs.
Yeah.
He's got like a book inside of a book.
Yeah. Well, this is what leads to the sitcom misunderstanding.
Right.
And then some real quick, really bad double entendres.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we learn the mentor's name is Stuart, finally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Asks him what's going on, and Doug says, what if I'm different? Really different. And then, yeah, we get treated to an argument wherein Stuart says Doug needs an exorcism, and that Stuart's going to contact the diocese to do this.
Right.
And then he locks Doug in his room.
Right. No.
Like a like a puppy.
Well, yeah.
In the bathroom.
You don't even lock your kids in a room.
Right.
You know,
Like setting a kid in a baby gate,
Yeah.
Like,
well, yeah. That I guess you can lock your kids in the room,
right?
When you put the door,
yeah,
thing up, I mean, you don't lock the fucking door though.
Well, no,
but you can imprison a small toddler and below, and most of the time you have to on the best of days just for their safety. That's why we have the play nets,
right?
But yeah, I like you just lock the door.
Yeah.
I would.
On a fully grown adult man.
I would beat that polyester pajama top off of him in a heartbeat. So while this is all going on, here's what I got out of this. This upset me. Not only did they just decide to go out and get some
jammy jams,
fucking jammies, right? Doug's wearing fucking Converse tennis shoes, and he's supposed to be in full uniform. This isn't how it's done. Let me just step aside for a brief moment. Like everywhere else, it is encouraged that you be comfortable as possible without deviating from your prescribed uniform, because it is a uniform. Some orders wear frocks, some wear the shirts, some wear shirts with jackets all the time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But you are not supposed to be running around in gnarly looking tennies.
Right. Are you all right?
I am. That was my note on all of this.
Yeah.
Fucking wearing Converse.
So then we get a flashback to Doug laughing with his parents, wondering what they would say about this situation.
Right.
And literally this whole flashback is just them laughing.
Yeah.
And laughing and laughing.
Yeah.
Laughing. And laughing. And laughing. And finally, they tell him to follow his heart.
Yeah.
And drop him off somewhere and say, quote, we'll pick you up after priest college, end quote.
Okay, I'm going to implore everyone in the world, please, for the love of fucking God, for fuck's sake, learn about what you're fucking writing about. Terminology. They could have gone on fucking Wikipedia.
I know.
And in 5 minutes had all the material to make all the right decisions on this. And we've talked about this before. We have spent over an hour. We have stopped our writing cold because we were looking for that one word.
Right.
We've done it more than once. Sometimes it's, we need a word because, it's like, no, let's do it now. Because if we wait and we come back to do the rewrite,
we're never going to find it.
We're never going to find it because we're not going to be in that same moment and mood.
Yeah.
Right? We want to get it now. And if that proves not to be the right one later, at least it will take us a step closer to what we still would have never found.
Right.
Right. But when we were doing John Henry, there was a lot of stuff we had to, if we're going to call it by name, let's call it by name. And I know we saw a thing where Shonda Rhimes was talking about how, she's got people for that. He picks up the medical thing and does a thing. And they have to go in and fill it in.
Yeah. So she did Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
And when they were talking medical stuff, she would just literally write in the script, medical.
Yeah. And
then they'd have someone, figure out some medical terminology to put in there.
Yeah. And get it all in there, Anyway, sorry.
Well, it's fine if you have people to do that, right? Then that's good, great. But here's the reality. No indie filmmaker has people to do that.
Well, no, and that's television too. I mean,
right.
That's the thing. See, like on a script, you better know something. If you're writing a feature script and you're trying to get in front of a producer, you better have those fucking vocabulary and stuff down, even roughly.
Yeah.
Because what they'll do if they're into it, like, okay, well, this is a period piece. So they're going to call in consultants.
Right.
Right. So I spent time with a Mason. I'd mentioned that before.
Mm-hmm.
And technically I would call him, a consultant.
Yes.
I will list them as, thanks to, consulting, because I got terminology, I got information, I got all the stuff I needed to know. that when we talked about it,
Right.
when I came up with my notes, drastically changed how the set would need to look
Right.
for the short, right? Because
Yeah.
we had what we thought was an idea, seemed to make sense. We were kind of there, but it's the nitty gritty little stuff, right?
Right.
So yeah, all these places have consultants for this stuff. You know,
Yes.
if someone writes a war drama, you know, producers can be like, if nothing else, they're going to be responsible and say, well, I'm going to bring in a guy who knows this shit top to bottom just to
Mhm.
make sure that your shit's okay. Right?
Yeah.
Well, if you don't have that, Wikipedia.com or org. What is it? I don't go to Wikipedia.
It's org.
Is it?
But I mean, it costs you nothing, right? It costs us nothing to look for someone who knew something about it and go talk to them.
Right.
Right? We could have just looked it up on the internet, but we wanted to actually talk to someone and, you know, get that like firsthand knowledge about it.
Right.
Right. Well, secondhand, I guess, because you were
Yeah.
hearing it from him. But, you know, we could have easily just looked it up
Mm-hmm.
and gone off whatever we found.
Yeah.
And that would have been fine. But it doesn't cost you anything. And most people are going to be happy to tell you
Yeah.
about what they do.
Yeah. He was delighted
Right.
to talk about it. And here's the thing. You can go online, but what I got in that short period of time with him, I would never have gotten online, hours and hours of searching. Little things like, oh yeah, if your character has been doing this for, you know, more than 5 years, this is where he's going to have his blister, because this is how you hold a chisel. Now, and I talked about it with him. I'm like, I grew up, you know, they're holding it like they're going to stab something, right? And then
Yeah.
hammering. He's like, well, not if you're cutting stone. If your intention is to fuck it up and break it apart, sure. You know, and those little details, to me, that's what we look for in movies. And we've
Right.
seen a lot of B movies where people have included those little details.
Right.
It doesn't cost much, folks.
Okay. And for this particular movie, right,
Mm-hmm.
there are priests literally everywhere.
Okay.
It would not have been hard to
adjusting
find
my
one to
headphones
talk
here.
to one.
You can go to any town. I mean, any town, even the one that's like 8 people, right? They all go to a church somewhere, or someone there does. There's a community church that's in the middle of nowhere and serves 5 of these little towns. Any denomination will be able to give you the correct terminology for these basic things,
Yes.
you know. But did they do that?
No.
No. Some genius sitting at the keyboard wrote Priest College.
Oh, no.
Okay. So anyway, well, after that, I'm not even watching. This is where I went into a huge diatribe. And
All the stuff you just talked about.
I just burst into it. Yeah. You know, things like, it just, regardless of what they were going for in terms of, is it supposed to be funny, campy, whatever, there's a fine line that too many people fall across, where you go from, okay, so like Student Bodies, this is just, stupid and fun and funny, or, intentionally campy. It's, they're going for the full B movie thing.
Yeah.
To ignorant.
Yes.
And they just shit like this just makes the filmmaker, everybody involved, just makes them look ignorant.
And it's not even as though it's a fine line, the distinction between those two. It's a gigantic, bold ass line. It is not hard to spot.
No. No. And I mean, and I'm very thick skinned. So, because I was thinking, maybe they're trying to make fun of, the clergy, right? The ecclesiastic world.
Maybe.
And I thought, well, if they are, they fucking suck at it. Because none of this shit was funny.
Yeah.
But I don't think they were. I think it just made them look that stupid about the topic. Because if you can't even get a terminology right, it's and when you're stupid like that, it borders on disrespectful. And people might be listening and think, well, it's a fucking pastor who turns into a velociraptor. It's VelociPastor and this. Okay. But, as a filmmaker, people, what do you want to do? Do you want to do something that has some effort of quality to it? No matter the range, right? Horror, drama,
right.
whatever. Camp, stupid, fun, nonsensical bullshit, even a short, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to pretend like, Alice. So it's shot in a restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay. We were able to get in a restaurant.
Right.
Right. Made it work. Wasn't the easiest, but we could have just shot it in a basement.
Right.
Right. And not put any set decorations up, not even giving him a fucking table. Just give him 2 bar stools and have them stare at each other. Right. And then pretend a restaurant is there. I don't think that kind of shit's cute.
No.
I think it's just stupid. Now, back that up a little bit. I said before, on the Ed Wood episode, I believe, make 2020 your year.
Yes.
Shoot your shit. If you're going to set your phone up in your living room and you're going to shoot your whatever, if you're supposed to be taking place like in a NASA lab, well, I tell you what, go to Goodwill, get a junior chemistry kit. They're almost always there. Little vials and stuff.
Go to U-Haul and buy a bunch of boxes.
Yeah.
Right.
Something.
Paint them.
Yeah. Because you're doing this for you. Right. But the whole thing is put some effort into it. It's so poorly done. It's farcical and okay.
So back to the movie. Stuart brings Doug to what looks like a new agey kind of store, right?
Oh, you have a cult store in your notes. I'm looking right at them.
Yeah.
Don't try to butter it up.
Well, I was thinking about it, and I mean, it didn't really look like an occult store. I think they thought that it should.
It didn't look like a new age store. I lived in Sedona. If there's new age anywhere, it's there. And let me tell you, that was poorly set up.
Well, anyway, moving on. And he's taking him here because apparently the diocese is going to take too long. Oh, yeah. I mean, how long can you lock someone in their room? The shop owner, Altair, is apparently a practicing exorcist.
You caught his name. I didn't give a shit. I didn't catch it.
Then we have a flashback to when Altair and Stuart were apparently in the war. Because Stuart says that Altair was with him in the war, and we get a flashback. And this flashback is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen. Unnecessary, cheesy, useless, not worth detailing.
Yeah, we're gonna skip past that because I put that in there too. But so breaking away from it again, this is my notes at this point. So for this war scene, now the priest jammies weren't bad enough. Okay, now it looks like everybody broke into their kids' fucking toy boxes and pulled out their play clothes.
Yes.
All right. These guys didn't. It's supposed to be an army. Son of a bitch. If you have a scene that has military in it, go to the fucking Army Navy store. Go to the Army Surplus store. You can get this shit super cheap. And again, go to Goodwill because you know where most tired, worn out uniforms and shit end up? Goodwill.
Well, and even if you can only get those cheap ass costumey ones, at least make everyone wear the same fucking thing.
Okay, I'll go with that. But I'm just going to amend that with if you go to Goodwill and get them, they're cheaper than the costumes.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Or even if you just bought like a pack of hunting camouflage t-shirts.
Right.
Yeah, I don't even want to get into that. So anyway, rather than do anything, these guys are wearing fucking clothes that aren't fatigues. Some are wearing like just, I almost expected to see someone in shorts.
Yeah.
Fucking wearing jeans, another guy's wearing slacks, another guy's wearing cargo pants.
Yeah.
None of them are the right color. The fucking helmets are ranging in size and shape. Some are plastic. So one was one of those little vinyl jobs.
Yes.
It just folds up in your pocket for your 3-year-old. It just, oh my God. People, make an effort means you have to spend some money, or you have to at least troll for all the donations you can get, you know. Jesus, God, that was terrible. So then all of a sudden there's a gunshot. So I look up as I'm bitching about this on my iPad. And so I'm looking, and evidently something happened. And
Right.
it was evidently important. I don't know.
It wasn't.
There's some woman running at him. And they're still in the war zone, right?
Yeah.
During the war. And they're supposed to be, I think, overseas.
Yeah, he said it was Nam.
Yeah. It's that same Midwest field they were in before. So this one actually caught me. So she's running to him, and then all of a sudden she explodes, like right in front of him.
Yes.
And then he's just like bucket of blood and on him, you know. And at this point, I'm a bit lost, and I didn't even care to ask. I just didn't give a shit at this point because I thought maybe I could ask you what's going on.
Yeah, and I would have told you it doesn't fucking matter.
I kind of guessed.
So the flashback ends finally. By the way, this flashback took for fucking ever.
Well, all the little shit takes for fucking ever.
Oh my God.
Here's the funny thing. This is not a long movie.
No. Back in the shop, there's lots of candles and incense and stuff. And I'm like, how the hell was Altair involved in the war with Stuart? He wasn't even fucking in that flashback.
I know. I don't know. Maybe his metaphysical projection. I don't know.
Okay. So then Doug grows a rubber dino claws. Yeah, one of his arms, both of his arms, rubber dino claws.
Well, they had him handcuffed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that little tidbit.
Yeah. And he's got rubber dino claws. And he kills Stuart. And then he runs away. And Altair just fucking laughs and laughs and laughs and laughs.
Yeah.
And laughs.
And if I may, when he reached over and just like throated Stuart.
Yeah.
I actually had a reaction. What the fuck? I had. We'll keep going.
Yeah, keep going. We can make it through, and then we can talk about this.
So
we're getting there.
Yeah, Doug is in the wood. It's night, and then here come the ninjas. There's a lot of babble conversation I'm not paying attention to, because here's the thing. Here's one of the things that bothers me is, so the Asian ninja is speaking Chinese. Everyone can fucking understand him. Everyone's speaking to him in English. He can understand them. What was the motherfucking point of having him speak Chinese and throwing subtitles on the screen?
No idea.
Right? I go to movies to see. If I want to read, I go to the fucking library.
I don't mind subtitles now, like if it is appropriate.
If it's appropriate.
Right.
But see, and here's the thing. Understand if you have, and this is one of the things that irritates me. So you have a scene which is all Asian people, right? Because this is in something I'd seen recently. You have all Asian people. You can tell they're in an Asian, Chinatown, or an Asian district, or in Asia, wherever, right? You get that they're all there. They're, the whole ethnic thing is going. If you're going to have a 5-minute scene, just have the actors fucking speak English. It doesn't add authenticity to me. It just pisses me off because I have yet to see a movie where they get the fucking subtitle. And it's not because that I have to read them slowly because of my dyslexia, right? Like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Yeah, I've seen it many times, so I know what's going on. They still haven't got the fucking pacing right. It's terrible. It's worse than a Godzilla movie that's been poorly dubbed, in my opinion. Anyway, okay, so I don't even know what they're on about, but then something happens, and I think it was supposed to be funny, but it wasn't.
Nothing's funny in this movie.
Well, so I didn't write it down. Anyway, I guess Doug killed them all because now we're back at Carol's.
Yep.
Doug's on the floor hiding under newspapers like a beat puppy.
Yes.
Right? And blah, 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 bam, finally they kiss. We didn't see that coming. Cue the music, it's sex time, and just awful editing. And here are the Brady Bunch 60s style layers again with bad lighting. And it looks, I was looking at it thinking, Jesus Christ, this looks like the first day of a first year film student, his project.
Are you sure you want to give it that much credit?
I'll stand by what I said.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, wait a minute. Right?
Yeah.
We have a fade shot and the ninjas are sitting on the grass.
Underneath all of this Brady Bunch bullshit.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm like, well, why? He's just and then we get and this is the one I was the next sequence of flash scenes is so fast and abrupt and bad. It literally, they should have a seizure warning at the front. This was worse than a strobe light.
Yeah.
You know, it was just that bad. I had no idea what the fuck it was all about. It was just, I looked away. I actually checked my email. I slid out of the document. I'm like, what's going on? And then, so when this nightmare of bad cinema direction and shooting is over, Doug and Carol are in bed in their underwear. Another pet peeve of mine. If you're going to sex it up, right?
No, let me just put my bra and underwear on back on before we cuddle.
Well, they never at one point had any of it off.
I know.
You know? So, I mean, make the actors look like they know how to have sex. And if nobody wants to get buck naked, which is fine, because nobody should have to. I mean, if you hire people and they're like, I really don't want my Johnson, swinging in the breeze. And, okay, fine. Woman doesn't want to pull her tits out and show her ass. Fine.
That's what blankets are for.
Well, it is, but it's also, you can rework the scene to have them leading up to it and then leave the rest to us.
Yes.
In our imagination, okay? But when it's like showing two fully clothed people fucking. Like, I'm sorry, I've been on this earth long enough to know, A, that's not how it works. B, it just can't work like that. Right? Some wardrobe has to be removed. Anyway, so they're in their underwear, and then, bam, once again, ninjas. My first thought was, well, I guess he didn't kill them all.
Nope.
So they come in rolling through the windows, one at a time, doing these little dive rolls.
Yeah.
Stuff. And then there's a fight. And so apparently at Priest College and Hooker School, they have some martial arts training.
Right.
Because now all of a sudden these two normal people are like hauling ass on the ninjas.
Yeah.
Yeah. It gave no indication of any of that being a potential.
Yeah.
And it was not a welcome surprise.
No. And then we cut to... guess Stewart isn't dead after all. Just wearing an eye patch.
Yeah, and I swear to God, I saw him rip out his neck.
Yeah.
And also, there's no bandage on his neck.
He's fine. He's with the head ninja. And they have another one of these confusing conversations wherein one of them is speaking Mandarin.
Yes.
And the other one is speaking English. And somehow they understand each other.
Yes.
Dumb. Then they walk through the camp. The head ninja lays out the stupidest fucking plan I've ever heard of getting people addicted to coke and then converting them to...
Whatever. See, you have notes on this.
I know.
I was not present
And then
mentally. I
know.
didn't know any of this till I read your notes. Like, oh, did that happen?
that's their whole plan. It's getting people addicted to coke so that they'll go to support groups and then convert to the church. I'm not joking.
I believe you. Believe me, I have no doubt whatsoever.
Yeah. And then they kill Stu because he's understandably fucking confused about this stupid ass plan and not on board with it. And they thought that he would be cool with it because he's part of the church.
Yeah. See, at this point, I stopped caring.
But since he wasn't, bye, Stu.
Yeah. I don't know. People come, people go. I got ninjas coming through windows. I've got throat ripped priests with eye patches. I don't know what the fuck's happening. So anyway, well, this is why that I don't have those notes, because I wrote on a tangent while this movie is playing. I'll talk about subtitles, and I already just covered that, the whole subtitle bullshit. Yeah, stop it. Please stop it. Just have everyone speak. Okay, we get it. We're an audience. But, to be fair, right? There are times when it is appropriate, like you said.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yes.
Okay. In the newest season of it, and I won't be too spoilery about it, but Joel has frequent run-ins with this like gambling ring in Chinatown.
Yeah.
Right? And every time he goes into the basement where they are, they're all just like shouting in Mandarin and stuff, and you don't even need subtitles, really.
Right.
Right? But it plays to his confusion, right? And it does. It fits really well. And then when they are talking and they have subtitles, when he has more personal interactions with some of those characters, it's funny and it makes sense and it is reasonable.
Well, and when they don't have the subtitles.
Yeah.
Because there'll be a lot going on, and I like that because it helps put me in his head.
Yes.
Because I'm there with him. Now, I don't know what the hell anyone's saying. I can tell by looking at him, because from my vantage point as the audience, I can see their faces. I know they're fucking around with him.
Yes.
Right? Now I feel even worse for him.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Anyway, back to Doug and Carol, who are on their way to the ninja hideout, I guess. And Doug says, good thing that ninja told us where the hideout was before he died. No, he didn't.
Can I just say?
Okay.
This was the first time I really laughed. Because I'm sitting there typing away on my little diatribe, right? And I hear this, and all of a sudden I hear you. No, he didn't. And I just about died.
He didn't. But fine. Anything to make this movie come to an end. That's what I'm feeling at this point.
Yes.
Like, okay, we've got to be in the end game now, and we are. And then Doug gets dressed up like Danny Zuko.
I know. I love that you put that in. So he's got that going, and then Carol is done up in a black leotard and a long, tight braid, Mortal Kombat style.
Yeah, like
right?
Sonya.
Someone, yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is what you wear when you're suddenly badass.
Wish I knew that. Let's start dressing like that. You're in for a wardrobe change. All right. And in a twist that was neither hinted at nor likely planned.
Oh, God.
One of the ninjas is Doug's brother, the Ginger Ninja. Okay. I just heard it come out of my mouth, the Ginger Ninja. And that's going to be a thing and something I do now.
I'm thinking that could be the name of a script. We could make that work. Ginger Ninja.
The most boring ninja fight scene ever ensues. And let me just say, Doug is just delighted. He is like eager and pleased and cheerful about killing his brother.
Yeah. Can I just mention?
Yeah.
We do get a flashback for like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Right. We go back through they replay all of Doug's flashback scenes, and then they'll like pan over, and you'll see the ginger guy. Right. Nobody's talking to him. He's just like sitting at the table, being ignored. He's in the car, being ignored. He's over here, being ignored. And at one point, his dad's like, of course I'm proud of you. You're my only son.
Yeah.
And then we see Ginger Ninja in the back. I thought, okay. I think that was worth explaining.
Yeah. Okay. I've got it now. The Ginger Ninja is going to be a big bad evil guy in a future D&D campaign.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. We need to make a stat block for him. Anyway. Meanwhile, Carol literally is taking on all the other ninjas. Well, Doug's just fighting Ginger Ninja, his brother. Yep. Carol's fighting everyone else. Until one just walks slow-mo. Not actual slow-mo, but like...
I think it was the kicky guy who was doing that really stupid slow leg movement thing. I think he was just like lumbering towards her because that was all he could muster.
Yeah, just walks out of the tent and cuts her with the sword while she stands there doing fucking nothing.
Yeah. You know what it reminded me of? Deadpool.
Oh, the...
You're gonna get killed by a fucking Zamboni.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. She's just standing there looking at him, watching. Like, I wonder what's going to happen. What's this? This is a new development.
Mm-hmm.
Let me... oops, I'm gone.
It's obviously just a flesh wound. But she's dying very dramatically.
Yeah.
And then the ninjas are crying while Doug and Carol have their dramatic moment where she dies. And then... Fuck. There's a T-Rex costume. And in my notes, in all caps, I have, what the actual fuck is up with this T-Rex costume? Is it the dinosaur of Notre Dame? I refuse to believe this movie cost more than $200 to make, tops.
So, folks, this dinosaur, this velociraptor, was a T-Rex costume.
Yeah.
That was literally crumpled down. And it did. That's first thing. That's when I looked up. I'm like, oh, it's the Quasimodo of velociraptors. Poor guy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We both stopped taking notes in the final lap of this movie.
Yeah.
But to sum it up, Doug kills the head ninja and apparently Carol's fine. So the end, hopefully. They do tease a sequel, but I hope to God they don't fucking make it.
Yeah, I will not be on the, hey, let's help them make this board for this one. Now,
so here's what should have happened with the script of this movie.
Do it. Shredder.
Yes.
I love it. Well, I want to say this, because this is something we had talked about after this thing happened. So the actress who plays Carol, Alyssa Kempinski, when we were having a cigarette, I'm like, she was, I got to say, she was actually pretty good.
She was, yeah.
I mean, there's this whole, everyone else was just fucking awful.
Yep.
And it's that typical, the lines are delivered, they're just delivered. It reminds us when we do our own script reads, right? After we do a rewrite, neither one of us are actors.
No.
And we don't pretend that we are. But we do interject certain things, to kind of get the emotion of the scene, to make sure the words are flowing and stuff. And it's really bad.
I wouldn't want to film us doing a script reading.
Oh, we won't. But and that's how a lot of the actors, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I can't believe this has happened. Well, like the pimp, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Why they call me this because I'm this. Hey, blah 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 blah. meh, meh, meh. I'm sure he had dialogue. I don't fucking care. But Alyssa was I was just watching thinking, why is she in this? Her face, she could emote.
Yeah.
Right? We talk about
what did they have? What were they holding over her to force her to be in this movie?
Yeah. Like one of the reasons we loved Jenna Coleman in Doctor Who.
Oh man.
And then we loved her in Victoria,
mm-hmm.
right? Is she is so good at micro expressions.
Yeah.
Those, I mean, almost imperceptible, but if you know what you're looking for, you can see it, and then you understand why the first time you saw it, you felt the way you did, because she showed you.
Right.
But it's not obvious, but your brain is like, ooh, I picked it up. You know.
She has a beautifully expressive face.
Yeah. So Alyssa really pulled that off. She was, doing it. Her dialogue was natural.
Yes.
The words were ridiculous, but her presentation of them, and she knew how to hold herself in a scene. She wasn't doing the fiddly,
right.
finger things and kind of just, looking off to the side and everything. She really did good. So I did a little research, and I just on her, and it's worth noting that she has IMDb credits going back to 2010.
So she's been doing it a while.
She has been doing it a while. Most of those credits in the beginning, though, for almost 2/3 of the, up till today, are like, girl and pillow fight,
right,
kind of things. But yeah, she's you can't in like real movies, not more VelociPastor movies. In fact, she shares a scene with Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Oh,
yeah. It's a weird scene. It's in a movie I don't know anything about, but it's a movie.
Okay.
Because Mags doesn't show up for VelociPastor.
No, she doesn't.
No.
She does serious stuff.
Right. And Alyssa's role is not huge. Well, at least in the scene. I don't know if she's anywhere else in the movie, but she's credited as the girl in that scene. You don't get that if you can't bring something to the table. Nobody will put you in the room on a set with a star,
right,
of that caliber, because this is your first go. This is your big break. You got to bring something to the table, right? So clearly she's got something. So I kind of look forward to seeing her. She's got a bunch of shit in the works.
Well, good.
Going on.
Good for her.
So we'll see what they are.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to be fair, as much as we've ripped this apart. She's got some talent.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Nobody else did. The direction was terrible.
Yes. The writing was terrible.
Well, that goes hand in hand. I've never seen someone write a perfect script and then be poor at directing it. Right? Right. So, and we had a in our conversation after all of this, I think I said, this is a good example of if someone wants to write comedy or even comedic moments, because I get the sense they wanted this to be funny because it's billed as action adventure comedy. I don't know if that's how they did it, because we've seen stuff, like zombie, drama. It's a full on horror film. There's no drama. In fact, there's almost no story. They're just gutting everybody.
There is a particular genre of B movie that I'm going to call so bad it's good.
Right.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we all know that.
Right. Like, The Room is a masterpiece of some sort. I haven't quite figured out what sort.
Don't make me choke on my coffee.
But it is, right? There are a lot of movies that, like, Manos, Ator, the classic, so bad they're good.
Yes.
Okay. When you try to make a movie that's so bad it's good, that's not what's going to happen. And I think that's what they were trying to do with this. They were trying to make it so ridiculous and so bad that it would become like a cult classic.
I could buy that.
And that is not what happened.
No. Anyway, the comedy bit. All of what I presume to be those comedic moments that I mentioned, and you know, I think I had said, apparently it's like college buddies humor kind of thing, or like the guys,
right.
You know, let's go have a beer. And it's one of those deals where, you know, okay, so you like fart jokes and making burping sounds and, you know, acting vulgar. That's funny to you. That's great. That doesn't mean it's going to work in a movie. It doesn't mean you understand comedy. My thing, if you want to put comedy of any kind in your film, and this is a setup, because we have some comedy in Plan Z, but it's not a big setup.
No.
Right? It's just, you know, it's like Three Stooges that happened. Oh, okay. You know, tickled me. Go to an open mic. Go to an open mic in a club. Take what you think is funny, your sense of humor, and get out there. Get out of your little beer drinking group or whatever it is. Because this really did seem like the most immature attempts at stuff. You know, I'm thinking these actors, right? These poor people are looking around at a bunch of like 16 and 17-year-olds running this film, you know, probably thinking, oh, how did I get here? So, you know, go out and if you're not funny, then get someone else to put that shit in the script.
Yeah.
You know, share a credit, do something.
Well, or even just like show it to someone not in that group.
Right.
Not in your little beer drinking, you know, like stupid friend group.
Yeah.
Bring it to someone else outside of it.
But before you give it to them, get a highlighter. Highlight all those moments. Because honestly, if I were to read this, I wouldn't read this as, oh, this is supposed to be funny. Having seen it on and delivered on screen, I'm guessing it was meant to be funny. I'm not saying I'm 100% correct. You know.
Yeah.
And say, read this. And when you get to those yellow parts, tell me what you think.
We wrote a script specifically with the purpose of having our daughter be able to read it with us.
Right.
Okay. And we invited her to do the script read with us, the out loud read that we do.
Yeah.
And when we read it with her, and she hadn't been a part of the writing process. She didn't know all the little like jokes that we put in.
Right.
Okay. We had her read the main character because she wanted to be a big part of it, and that's fine.
And she did a wonderful job.
She did. She was delightful. But I was ticking in our script as we went along.
Yes.
Every time that she laughed at one of the jokes that we made, and also every time that she didn't laugh.
Right.
At one of the jokes that we made, because she's the audience for that movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And while we could go and take it to another group of kids and see if they think it's funny, because her sense of humor is similar to ours, right? Because she's our kid.
Yeah.
But she doesn't always think that we're funny.
No.
Right? So, I mean, that was a good, like, first metric for that.
It was. And, you know, I'm going to pat us on the shoulder. We had more ticks than not ticks.
That's
or
true.
more good ticks than bad ticks.
There were only a couple that fell flat.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, even then.
It might have just gone over her head.
Just a little bit. You know, I still laughed.
Well, some of them jokes were meant for adults.
Yeah. Disney style.
Yeah.
Something for the grown-ups. So, yeah. Other than, you know, Alyssa's performance as Carol, I don't have a lot to dig into. I think if well, I mean, I don't think, I just watched it. If you lean too far into this kind of thing, you cross that line. It just looks ignorant and sloppy and
lazy.
Lazy. Yeah, it does not speak of talent.
No.
And if you're going to do something like make a feature film, well, this was like an hour and 2 minutes.
It was a feature. It was, I think, like an hour and 20.
I don't think it was an hour and 20.
Regardless.
Anyway.
It's a feature. It's a feature length.
It felt 1,000 times longer than it had any right to be.
That's true. It did.
So, but when you do something like this, if you're putting that effort into it, try to come out the other side looking good. Like I said, we and most of the indie community, right?
Yeah.
And B-movie lovers, number one, the thing is, you fucking did it. For every person that makes a movie, there's thousands of others who sit and bitch and moan about making one.
That's
and all
true.
the reasons they can't.
Yeah.
Right?
And it honestly, it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
To have come out of this so disappointed in this movie, because I was very excited about it. And I went in wanting to like it.
Oh, yeah.
Very much.
I was almost sure we would.
Yeah.
Because we're a VelociPastor ninjas,
Right?
So we've got a transforming dinosaur, a deadly one.
Yeah.
A manageable one, which I thought, well, that's kind of cool because that's, I mean, T-Rex pastor, that'd be hard to make a wordplay out of.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do a T-Rex film, like that one where they just stuck the toy in front of the camera through the window.
Yes.
Scale can be a problem. A Velociraptor is a workable scale.
It is.
Just, got a PSA. Please stop crippling T-Rex costumes.
Right?
That was just not nice.
What did they even do to that?
I don't even know, but it was so bad. I'd rather watch the fully inflated one with the bobbly head.
But yeah, it did. This movie broke my heart because I wanted to like it so much.
Yep.
And immediately I was like, oh God, this is not, this isn't. But, they did make a movie.
They did.
Got some money for it.
Yep.
Was this crowdfunded or was it?
Zero information
that
I could get that was considered reliable.
Okay. Regardless, $35,000 is not a small chunk of, it's not a small chunk of change.
No, I tell you what though, when I saw that number, I didn't have the same reaction you did, but I thought Anton made Space Trucker Bruce for around 10,000, right?
Yeah.
And that's because he built all those fucking sets and to buy all the stuff.
Well, he did. And Space Trucker Bruce looked 10 million times
that's what I'm saying.
Cinematically than this movie.
That's, folks, watch this one and go see Space Trucker Bruce. If you haven't, compare the two. Space Trucker Bruce is that's the one you want to go with.
Yeah.
That's what you're going for.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is not.
No. So yeah, basically just you don't need to lean into the stupid camp joke things to make your B movie great.
Right.
Just do your best. People recognize an earnest effort. Mm-hmm. Do something of the best quality that you can do. Something that you're going to be proud of.
If you're going to do that though, because I mean, we've seen some movies and we want to do that eventually. We want to write something that just it leans. I mean, that's what it's for. It's a parody.
Yeah.
Of itself. Those moments have to be peppered.
Yes.
Okay. Everything in between them needs to look like you really mean what you're doing.
Yes.
Not like, well, the next scene's not set, so we'll just kind of have them, you can tell a lot of this was just like going through the motions, filling up the frames.
Right.
Right? Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. This could have been whittled down to a short. Actually, the trailer.
Yeah.
If they'd have just left it as the trailer and released it as that, it'd have been all right.
It'd have been great.
One thing I want to talk about is the writing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not great. And here's the thing. had there been a little bit more of a cohesive story, we would have bought into it, right?
Yeah.
You know, because the premise was there. I mean, you had us hooked. You got the hook. Got a pastor and a dinosaur, and you know, he's the dinosaur. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
I'm in.
Yeah, going all these weird ass directions. It really did seem like the whole war thing.
There was no point.
There was no point. It really seemed like this was maybe written as a short, and they tried to fill it up. I'm telling you, because it's not an hour and 20 minutes. It isn't.
It felt like 8 hours.
I know. I think this is what made me ill.
Probably.
I'm still ill.
I know. But you're trooping.
I am. I'm hoping I sound okay at the end of this. Anyway, I'm not going to criticize the writing for being bad, in that it's like a bad idea. It's, you know, this and that. To me, I think the dialogue wasn't awful, right?
Right.
I mean, but what stuck a knife in its side is the stupid terminology.
Oh yeah.
You know, priest college and this and that. You know, and that's what I'm saying is if you had if it had been the right terminology, I wouldn't have had, like, you know, half of my notes wouldn't have been just bitching.
True.
I would have been a little bit more engaged. But when I hear shit like that, I stopped giving credit to the whole indie movement thing and you made a movie. You know, what you did was you wasted my time, because you brought me into this thinking that I'm going to be rewarded by seeing your honest effort to, you know, do something. And I just saw laziness, fucking costumes. And again, the costuming situation wouldn't have riled me so much had I not seen the little vinyl fold up fucking helmet.
Yeah.
You know, and so that just kind of threw me off. You know, I think the writing was average. I think average is okay.
Yeah.
It could have been better. They could have done some research. I think, and I say average, and that's okay because, you know, the character of Carol, some of the shit she was saying was ridiculous, but as an actress, she was making it hit home.
She was making it work.
You know, so yeah, I think it would have been better if they'd have spent more time on the story.
Yeah.
Because I would have forgiven the mannequin head. You know, I would have forgiven the bad costuming choices if there was just more of a solid plot, you know.
I mean, I can forgive a lot if I can see a real effort.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
An earnest effort. And I did not see that. So
I'll wrap it up. My opinion is this is like a frat boy movie.
Yeah.
A bunch of, you know, young guys with a singular sense of humor.
Yeah.
Amongst them. Doing something for fun, and I just didn't care for this one, sadly, because like you said, it's a pastor, it's a raptor.
Yeah.
And ninjas. Well, how can you fucking go wrong? Well, we learned.
We did. So I think we can
say goodbye to this.
I think we can safely say goodbye to this movie in the nicest way possible. There it goes. And with that sad, sorry goodbye to this film.
It wasn't that sad or sorry.
Go visit us on Patreon or Patreon.
Patreon.
Yeah. Patreon.com/Bravo for the B-side.
Mm-hmm.
You can also find our links to everything at lordsofmisrollproductions.com.
Yep. All the platforms that we're currently on. Worth noting, we are on Radio Public.
Yes.
Oddly, there's no built-in link for that. So once I figure out an appropriate way to add that, we'll have that on there. But we are on Radio Public now.
Yep. And even if you can't find us on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on, send us an email.
Yep, there's links on the page for that too. Links for everything.
Links for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, links will be in the show notes as well.
Yes.
As always.
As always. So, yep, lordsofmisrule.productions.com. That's where you're going to find everything. On the Patreon page, we have links to our social media and YouTube.
Yeah.
And, of course, the website.
Follow, subscribe, rate, review.
Yes, please. So, do all that stuff. It's important. Check out our social media links. You can reach out to us through there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Direct message, because, it's not like we got 3 people giving us a feed. It's grown exponentially.
Yes.
And I'm not going to lie, I don't have time to read all the tweets. So catch us on there. Catch us on
Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, that's not what I was going to say, though. But we're there.
We are.
Yeah. Anyway, catch us somewhere.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake.
And and if you're feeling generous of spirit and generous in general, become a patron.
Yes.
Patrons have access to episodes slightly early.
Yes.
They also are able to have input on what things we talk about on the show, what movies we discuss.
Yes. They'll be voting, and we'll do all that. And some behind the scenes stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be more of it. But also, if you become a patron, it's not just for the podcast. It's also going to go towards our other projects that we'll be discussing on here, like our the short film, or I'm not going to say upcoming because it's not like it's done, that we're going to be starting at some point.
Going into pre-production.
Yeah. So I think that will do it.
Great.
I thought I had something else in mind.
Well, you can add it next time.
I'll have to. All right, B-siders.
Thank you for listening.
And come back next week. We'll have some more great stuff as we get further into 2020.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Roll out.
I'm Danny.
I'm Jim.
Thank you for listening.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.